Yeah, just cut out then. So you being in conflict. Let's get a little bit more on this Five of Swords. Okay, so something's not balanced to you. You know something's off. I don't know if there's some conversations too, or as you're looking at things, there's just a lack of satisfaction. Okay, and then you've got the Devil. So there's something happening at work, I feel here. Yeah, look, and you've got the Eight of Pentacles. So what is it? Someone's not liking what you're doing? There's something you need to change here. And I even, again, something about your reading last time about work and about doing things differently, because I felt like you were having a little bit more freedom to create. But it seems like that you can't, whatever that you may be doing, it's not hitting the mark. And I think that's part of your frustration here. Let's get a little bit more on this Emperor and then we'll unpack it. So Emperor energy. Oh, wow. Temperance, the Empress, and the King of Cups. Okay. Spirit's really talking to about all things, just trying to tap into the energy to see what wants to come through. It's covering all aspects that you've been questioning and that you're in. Okay. I think this Temperance energy, the Empress and the King of Cups, is letting us know there is still things, there's a little bit of patience with it that's being asked of you, but at the same time there is something really wonderful that wants to come in and wants to show up here, that you're going to feel very nurtured, connected, loved, and like it is an ideal partnership for you. Okay, but there seems to be a little bit more of a waiting game coming. So, and we did say last time the end of the year, so let's unpack that. But is it somewhere that you're going? There is definitely something about your work and relationship that seem to be connected. And again, I think this came up in your read last time. And I feel like that's not going to present itself until something shifts and change. And that could be where you're working. Let's have a look if where you're living is also a key factor. I'm just going to dive in a little bit more here. Let's just see what's blocking this right now, okay? Because there's something blocking it. What do we need to know what's blocking this energy right now? Okay, Ten of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Six of Pentacles. So home. I know there was something about an inheritance before too, and something not being balanced or justified here. So that could be like a lack of trust somewhere that's also coming up for you. And still some healing that's occurring here. But a part of the healing aspect too is trusting in your intuition more. So you're obviously feeling called right now to be somewhere. Where is that place? You know, what is that? What does that look like? What else do we need to know here? What else do we need to know here? Okay. Travel, relocation, the Moon. They're very major arcanas here right now. Clarify the Devil. Yeah. So, I mean, look at this. You've got the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles, which is all related to home, family, stability, fulfillment. And that there's something there that's polarizing for you. But it's also saying this is not a point to give up, but a point to let go. Share more on this world energy. Probably letting go is sometimes the hardest thing. Because you naturally, I think you're doing all the right things, right? You're doing you're going on experiences, you enjoy getting outdoors. Obviously, you enjoy music. But there's something about investing in something new. The moon, what's hidden here? Or we need to understand what's hidden here. So this Queen of Pentacles is coming up again. Okay. I know the workplace. I mean, look, we know that teaching majority are female energies. And I do feel like there's something here coming from a feminine energy. I also do feel like people on the other side are trying to work with you in presenting this new energy. But whatever's coming through, there's something exciting. But I feel like there's a change here because the world is movement. The world could also even be travel. I also know that, you know, your son and your relationship with son is incredibly important to you and very devoted there. But there's something here about investing in something else. And it doesn't necessarily mean a change in the type, like as in the type of work that you do, but it may be the model and the way that you do it. Because this moon energy is also intuition. The High Priestess is also intuition. There's an offer and opportunity that wants to come in. But again, there's something with the feminine energy here that keeps showing up. I feel like change is going to be an important piece to all this. Where do you want to lead us? Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so again, I feel there's something about travel, adventure that is important, new experiences, being a little bit more of a rebel. I know that's hard to sometimes, but this is about also about your spiritual sense. Yeah. Do you always feel that you need to be controlled and have it together? Because I feel that's another piece here. Yeah. So back around to this Five of Cups. What do we need to know? Yeah. You've still got your past hanging on your mate, and I know sometimes we don't want to, we may feel we've moved on or let go, but there is something here about the separation of something. This could also be too, if we're kind of swinging back around here, the also ending situations that aren't, because I think there's a fine line between having fun, being a bit rebellious, as in stepping outside your comfort zone, doing things a little differently, maybe going to explore places you haven't explored before, versus having someone in your life who is very on-off, someone in your life who, to them, this is just fun, where to you, this is your heart and your spirit, and, relationships have deep meaning for you. Your work has deep meaning, right? And I think that's a part of it too. There's something here that was a little bit unbalanced that you knew you had to move from, but it did cause, sadness, disappointment. You felt left behind here. Not left behind, like I feel in some way you feel you've abandoned yourself, but at the same time, there's this part of you that held onto it as well, and you recognize that you had to end this. So, or keep ending things that aren't meeting, just aren't meeting. It's an interesting thing because I do feel you have fun with people and with situations, but there's something here, I think too, about being yourself that's also important. But people showing up in integrity, doing the right thing. I don't know. I feel like you either keep meeting people or situations where either something's not good enough for them, or their behavior, there's something not right. We've got some balloons here. I'm not sure. We're going to celebrate something here. This is good. But I think this is part of it. And I think you recognize that you had to finally let go of this because you were holding on to something or trying to make something work here, which has shown up. I'm going to get some cards here on your work and get a little bit more on that, and then I'll dive back into romantic side and what's coming up there. But let's jump into the work side and see what that's about and what you need to know to best support yourself in terms of direction or guidance or things to look at. Okay, we've got a lot. This is good. Okay, we've got follow through. I feel like this is talking about to the year end, about following through on something. Is there something else that you've been wanting to do that you haven't followed through on with your own creativity, your own work? Overthinking can spoil the magic. Are you an overthinker? It's interesting you've got two cards that say magic on here because this one is you are the magic. You've got choose who you are becoming. The distraction of shiny things. Cozy up with risk. And I feel like that is one that's standing out for me because I feel like that's the little rebellious part that I'm talking about. Your past supports your future. And what do you really want? I feel like you're going to have a major breakthrough on this 2-day meditation retreat because I do feel like you're going to get a real powerful epiphany that's going to come through here that's going to create a significant healing component to your journey. Okay, I can already feel it, that's coming through. And I think that's part of your past supports your future. I think there's going to be some really strong, powerful messages that come through. Again, I feel this epiphany like you're going to take this biggest breath ever and it's just going to crack something wide open for you. So I really, really like that. There's something here I also feel for you, Dave, that something that you've wanted to do that you haven't done or you haven't followed through on. And I understand we can start projects and, then other things take over. But I think the follow through part on this is not thinking too hard about it and it's just flowing in the magic of it. I think that's the important piece because it flows through you, whatever this thing is that you've wanted to do and create. And this is also to choose who you are becoming. What is truly in alignment with you and what direction are you willing to go to go after that? And sometimes I know sometimes too we're reaching out trying to find that thing, but I think there's something here that is a bit bold and daring that you're being asked to take on right now. And maybe you already feel you're getting outside your comfort zone, but this is something a bit different. This is something a bit different that seems to be coming up here. But like I said too, I do think this meditation retreat is going to be a massive breakthrough for you. What do you really want? You know how you said that, there's a certain type of person that you want to meet and connect into, and I understand that. I mean, there's nothing better than having a cool partner, companion, lover, and all that. Have you may have, but I don't know if you've gone to the depth of it, of really getting clear on the type of person you want to bring into your life. Like getting down to the detail. It might be 75 things, it might be 100 things, things that matter to you. Everything from, I kind of giggle because most things on a chick's one is the height of a man. And usually their earning potential, okay? And I know for men, it's very different how they might start, right? Someone who brings you peace. Okay, great. So as you go through your list, things that they like, things that they enjoy, things that, may support you, support your career. It could be, someone who is emotionally, connected, someone who loves touch, whatever your love languages are, someone who, will embrace your son and be supportive of that dynamic. I mean, you could name probably, before you know it, you probably could be writing down 50 things of the type of person you are seeking to show up in the world. Spiritual connection, someone who is spiritual, someone who wants to continue growing together, someone who may want to live together, whatever those things are. Like, really get down to it and trust it and put it somewhere, let it go, and then come back to it. I can tell you, when I did that, shortly after I met my current partner, and I feel like anytime I put it out there, I do meet someone. There was probably 2 things on there that didn't match, but one thing couldn't change. It was their height. And it's kind of, a little joke to it, but I realize how that doesn't even matter, as long as they're just not shorter than me. But because I'm not a short, I'm a bit taller than most women. So, these things matter. I'm sure you don't want to meet a 6'2" woman, but as an example, that thing you may not care about when you do meet them. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, the more that you get into it, there could be things that you end up, they may not have all the things, but other things in it that you can work with. If you've got someone who's emotionally anxious, has an anxious attachment style, and you're a secure person and may lean into a little bit more avoidant, then naturally you're going to have a little bit of challenge there with that person. But if you're both willing to talk, you're both willing to be open, you're both willing to communicate, to work on it, because you do have an amazing connection and there's such strength in being a team, again, that's going to make a massive difference. So I know there's so many aspects to meeting someone, getting to know someone, but I think the energy of calling that in, if you're a person who's very spiritual, who grows, who shows up, but there's still that boy in you, and that boy also needs to be fed. And I see that part of it as also being accepted as you, and that how you show up in the world is enough. And I think that's a key component too of that. So then it's also, okay, you've got this list. Where do you meet that and where don't you? So sometimes, they talk about how we seek things, but are we willing to also be that person? Look, I'm not questioning that with you at all. I think that you're so connected to yourself and you really need to meet someone who is also that way. And that's probably where you're struggling a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you can't find it. It means we just got to get a bit more into the energy of it to call it in. And I actually feel it's coming a lot sooner than you may realize. But these are the things that are showing up here in conjunction with all this in terms of your own work and also relationship. This is either going to go kind of 2 ways. This is either going to be a change that you make with your work and the type, not necessarily the type of work, but maybe where you're working or the work that you're doing. You may need, so I don't know if I see you in the school environment. Let's get a little bit more. I just want to get a little bit more on work and what it's asking you, and then I'm going to jump into love. Because I feel like with work, the energy's just not really there for you in what you're doing right now, and I can feel that there's just not a lot of energy, and I feel like that's probably more what could be the impact here energetically. It's not the love component. I think it's the love of what you're doing. What's the advice on work, please? On direction. Thank you, Spirit. So you keep getting the same energy. Look, keep getting the same energy. But there's change. I like it that there's change. So you got 5 of Wands, 5 of Cups. Again, not satisfied, not feeling on the same page, not feeling progress, just this constant battle that's getting you down. And that's what I feel is happening. And I feel like that could be part of the piece that is just a little stuck. But again, I think you're going to shift something here sooner than you realize. because you do have the King of Wands, focused, ambitious. You know, there's a little bit of different fire and energy with a King of Wands versus a King of Cups. And I know that you're Pisces through and through, but there is something about your adventurous spirit and your energy that people love. But I feel like if this is not about you directly, there's somebody coming in that you're going to hear from. What is this about? So you got the Three of Swords with the Knight of Wands. Are you being challenged here by somebody? What is this Three of Swords? High Priestess. I feel like someone's got their eye on you. I think I said this to you even last time. Someone's got their eye on you. What's this Knight of Swords? What do they want to say? Page of Pentacles. Look at you. Just keep getting this repeating fives. Ah. You've got something changing. You've got every five out. Five of Swords, Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands, Five of Cups. Challenge, 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 change, change, change. So there is a massive change on the horizon, but the change that I feel wants to come through is an opportunity that you can't see yet. And you may have to look a little bit more into it, but there's also someone around you. And again, this seems familiar. I'm getting a bit deja vu energy that you may meet someone who initially may have this little bit of in and out energy, but they're going to draw you in. This is not an old energy. This is a newer energy, but I feel they're already somehow around you in some way. And this person, their energy, the way they're behaving is because of what they've been through, okay? I know we're talking about work, but for some reason with you, there's not a separation between the two. So this must be something connected through your work that comes up, this person. Because I feel like you see through them, but the way that they show up in their action is because of their past hurt. But I feel like intuitively you're going to take a chance on this person. What else do we need to know about this person? Yeah, see? The Empress. The Hierophant. Holy shit. And the World. Yeah. I've just got chills. So I don't need to say much more there. You've got the Empress, the Hierophant, and the World. So something is happening here with someone that you're going to meet. Okay? You've got a lot of change on the horizon. But there's just final note about work, please. Gosh, that's a lot. Yeah. For work right now, the energy is still a bit at a standstill, okay? I can see that there's a big part here of going where you feel valued, because where you are right now, you don't feel valued. And I think it's to have the four of the five of fives, if I'm making sense. You've got not on the same page. You're feeling not emotionally fulfilled. I think, while financially you might be feeling fine, there is still some conflict about the energy and effort and the, trying either to communicate. It's like you're falling on deaf ears to do whatever that you need to do. And I think it's important to stay curious with what else is out there. I do feel there's a potential offer, but it just seems right now you just feel a little bit stuck, but you're managing it. And I feel there will be something here that comes through in time, but I think it's also getting to what do you really want. It's going to be a key part. And where did you need to follow through with before that you haven't? And I feel like it's a bit, while it might be work related, it's a bit separate to this particular thing at school. Okay, so there is something about that is coming up. Now, I'm going to just get a couple more messages. what you need to know. But I feel like, we've covered the love thing because there's definitely something coming in. I know you said about when with this person. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can get unpack this a little bit more. So there you are, man holding a heart. That's the King of Cups energy. Deceit, appreciation, the thinking woman. Okay. So I feel, and this is the thing with this energy, I think they're going to have some past trauma where they've had someone that was a little, not doing the right thing. Okay. And they may need a bit more nurturing than, like I said, sometimes that naturally, if there's been betrayal, trauma, or anything like that, naturally, people can fall into anxious attachment. And it's not that they may still regulate, but sometimes they just need that little bit more reassurance, where all it is usually is just transparency. Once they have transparency, they're usually fine. They need to figure out how to self-regulate, but sometimes it's the transparency that really can support that. Because this person, whoever's coming in, they're a very deep thinker, so they may overanalyze things. But again, I don't feel they're a mess. I feel like there's a part of them that are going to show up in your life that may not attach and cling. And you're probably like, well, that's a good thing. You know what I mean? They're not someone who's like needy, codependent. I think they're going to be someone that is ultra cautious. They're going to be hyper vigilant. But all they need, as I said, as part of this, which I think might even be a new challenge for you, but you're going to be willing with this person because there's something deeper here, okay? There's something deeper here with this person that you feel connected to. So I feel like this is going to be more of a spiritual experience and could lead to, a serious relationship, partnership here. But I feel just a big part of that for them, that's kind of what's coming up in. Anything else? Yeah, see? You've got contract. So got storm warning. What do we need to be about this storm warning? Yeah. There may be things that you learn about this person that they're a bit worried to share with you or tell you. But look at this. You've got the matching energy. You've got the Queen of Cups. You've got Garden at the Gate and Blossoming Abundance. So they could be at a point in time they're in, like I said, I feel like this person's around or could be just going through maybe even finalizing their divorce, something of that nature, but they're not someone who's attached to someone, if that makes sense. They're going through some change and some journey, but I think they're healing. They're perhaps newly dating, but I just feel like they're acknowledging how they feel, but maybe they're not making any, committed moves right now. They're still in a holding pattern is what I feel, but this will come through and come out. And I think you're going to be very, very satisfied. But I do think it's going to also be both a heart and spiritual journey for you both, that you get to, bring in your own experiences, your own lessons, your own growth, but you will do it strong together. That's how this is coming across. I'm going to leave it there, dear friend. Appreciate you as always. And yeah, I'm always happy to hear how you're doing and what's happening for you. So please let me know after the retreat. I'd love to hear how that goes, that meditation retreat. And yeah, any feedback is wonderful. Speak soon. Bye.